Alright, hi friends, welcome back. If you don't know, my name's Naomi and this is my channel, Naomi's Library. So today I wanted to do something not so different from my other videos, honestly. I pretty much had somebody else pick my TBR, which is kind of like a trend on my channel. Like that's just what I do. I have other people choose my TBR for me. So this time I decided to have my booktuber and bookstagram friends, I had them choose my TBR, but I didn't really want to like buy more books because I have so many books that I own already that I haven't read. So I took a picture, and I'll put it somewhere on the screen. I took a picture of all of the books that I immediately wanted to read, and it was about 15 to 20 books. And then I had 5 of my booktuber or bookstagram friends to pick out books that they've read from that pile that they really wanted me to get to. So now I'm going to be mentioning what those books are and what booktubers slash bookstagram people I chose in order to get my TBR. So the first person that I reached out to was Chanel from Chanel Time, and from the picture she ended up choosing The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett. And this is a historical fiction about 2 twin sisters who are black, but they are white passing. And then they both lead very different lives. So it sounds super interesting. A couple other people that I chose for this chose this novel for me, but Chanel had already picked it out for me, so they ended up choosing something else. But this was the first pick, and this was from Chanel. So thank you so much, Chanel, for picking this out for me. The next book, I was actually super scared that Cami from Burrows and Books, she picked this out for me. I initially met her over on Bookstagram, and she does have a BookTube channel, and I will be leaving all the links below for everybody's Instagram and everybody's YouTubes. But she picked out for me Crescent City by Sarah J. Maas, and this book is 800 pages long. So I was super scared because I honestly thought this video wasn't going to be going out in 2020 because of how large this book is. But at this point in time, I've read The Vanishing Half, Crescent City, and I am halfway through Eliza and Her Monsters. So I actually got through this in like a week or so, but I'm not going to talk too much about it because I want you guys to watch that later. But this was a 5-star for Cami, and she really loved it. It's one of her favorite fantasy novels of all time. So I was really excited to pick it up, and you guys can see what my rating was. If you don't know, Sarah J. Maas is a huge author in the BookTube community, so I'm sure you've heard of Throne of Glass and A Court of Thorns and Roses. And this is her first adult fantasy novel. It's very like urban fantasy to me. So that's what I'm going to say about this. So the next person is somebody that I've been friends with here on BookTube for a really, really long time. They were actually like one of the first people that reached out to me when I first started my channel, like back in 2014. I do know that none of those videos are on here, but I did have some videos from the past, and Alex from Pucks and Paperbacks was one of my first friends here on BookTube, so I love him. He's great, and he's always DMing me on Instagram and everything, so I wanted to include him in this video. So he actually hadn't read many of the books that were on that pile, so he chose the only one that he had read. So I'm actually not entirely sure if he did enjoy this novel. So it was kind of like, that's the only book I've read, so that's the only book I can recommend to you for you to read. And that book was Eliza and Her Monsters by Francesca Sapia. Super surprised that I hadn't read this yet. This book is compared to like Fangirl and Radio Silence, which I've read Radio Silence. I have never read Fangirl. I think I got like 100 pages in and I DNF'd it. But I'm currently reading this and I'm halfway through it. And this book is about this girl who writes like a graphic novel, and she publishes it online, and it becomes really, really successful like nationwide. but her identity is hidden. And then there's a new boy in school who is a huge fan of the comics that she creates, but he doesn't know that she's a creator. So I'm really enjoying this. I do find some things like, I'm not gonna say too much because I do talk about it later. So yeah, I'm gonna leave it there. So the next book was picked by one of my best friends on Bookstagram, BookTube, all of the places, Isabel from Ray or Shine, and that is her Bookstagram and BookTube channel. Again, I'll link everything below. But this is one of her favorite books. I don't know if it's a favorite book of all time or like of 2020, but I'm sure that it's up there. Like, she chose a fantasy novel for me, and that novel is Where Dreams Descend by Janela Angeles. I actually received, this is an ARC. Yeah, it says ARC on there. This is an ARC, and I actually received this ARC, God, I think this is Wednesday Books. I'm really sorry. Yeah, it was from Wednesday Books. I didn't want to get that wrong. And this is kind of like a fantasy novel. It reminds me of like The Night Circus and Caraval. Haven't read either, but it gives that kind of vibe. The back of it says it's like Moulin Rouge meets Phantom of the Opera, and I believe the author of this novel is Filipina, which is really cool. And this was the book. I was not surprised at all when Isabel told me that this is the book she was picking for me. Like, I'll put the DMs up here somewhere when I DM people to choose books for me. But literally when I sent her the picture, I was like, let me guess. And I took a picture of this one. And she was like, well, yeah, but if you want more options. So I'm really excited to finally read this. I got this ARC a while ago. I believe this was one of like the first ARCs that was ever sent to me. So it holds a special place in my heart. But I'm super excited to read this. Yeah, it's like 400-ish pages long. So I believe I should be able to read this. Final book that one of my friends chose for me was from my friend Miona, from Miona. I don't know if it's Miona or Miona, and I should probably look that up on a YouTube video or something. But Miona or Miona chose for me The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. This is another book that has been on my TBR for a really, really long time. Super excited to read it. One of my best friends, who is not a reader at all, kind of came to me for a recommendation, and I gave her this book. And she came back like 3 days later. Like, she was already done. Like, mind you, she doesn't read at all. So like, for her to read a book in 3 days was like super impressive. So I'm really excited to read it because if she loved it, I'm assuming that I would too. But this one also, I did say what Where Dreams Descend is kind of about. I don't really know what it's about, but anywho, The Unhoneymooners, I get it wrong. I think it's like somebody's getting married, and the best man and the maid of honor have to take on the honeymoon that the people that were getting married were gonna go to. I think because they get sick. The bride and the groom get sick, so the best man and the maid of honor have to go to the honeymoon so they don't lose that money. But I believe they hate each other, I'm assuming, and then they have to do all of the like coupley things. So I think that's what this book is kind of about. I don't know where they go or anything, but I'm excited to read it. It should be a pretty quick read. So yeah. So those were all the books that my friends from Bookstagram and BookTube picked out for me. I really love doing this because I didn't have to buy any new books because I have so many. So from now on, you're probably going to see me just like finishing the book that I chose to read and then giving it a rating, and not sure if I'll be doing like a wrap up or anything. Maybe kind of like on the last clip I'll talk a little bit about what my favorite book was from this whole video, but I'm excited to do this, and yeah, I hope you enjoy me reading. Put the clips, I don't know. Hi, so I just finished my first book for this, which I chose to read The Vanishing Half by Brit Bennett, which was Chanel's pick. I'm going to be keeping these like little clips really short because I'm planning on doing like a wrap up for all of this. So this was Chanel's pick. Like I mentioned in the intro, this is a historical fiction about two twin sisters who are Black women, and they're separated around their teenage years, and they're both Black women, but they are white passing, and one of them like pretends to be a white woman, and like leads this like fake life, and the other one returns back to her hometown, and you get to follow like their life since they're children all the way to like they're old women. So this book is set in the 1950s through the 90s, and yeah, historical fiction. You get to have like a glimpse into every character's life that is introduced in this novel. There's a trans character, historical fiction. I really enjoyed it. I haven't given my rating. I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars. Recently though, I have been going over to like my Goodreads and I've been rating books, and then like I've been changing those ratings because obviously like your feelings change sometimes about books. So like recently I read Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens, and initially it was a 4 out of 5, and then the more and more I thought about it, it became a 5 out of 5 stars. So we'll see if this were to change. I feel like I was going into this thinking that it was going to be like The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe I like heard that comparison somewhere. But I really do feel like I learned so much from this book, and I really did enjoy it. It is a historical fiction in that way. I think this reminded me of like an adult version of The Fountains of Silence by Ruta Sepetys for some reason. So if you enjoy like historical fiction, I'm sure that you'd love this book. So yeah, like I said, I'm gonna keep these short because sometimes I just ramble and then it's a lot of editing. But thank you, Chanel, for picking this book out of my TBR. I really did like it. 4 out of 5 is not a bad rating at all. Usually like even 3 stars are books that I enjoyed. So like for me, if it gets a 3-star, I did like it. So 4 out of 5 is pretty solid. So thank you so much, Chanel, for picking that book for me. Hi friends. So I am blonde now. I recently did my hair. It is orangey in places, but I just need to do some blue shampoo, I think it's called. But yeah, I am blonde now. But anyways, last time we spoke, I believe I had said that I had 2 options for what I wanted to read next, and I never actually said what I was going to be reading next. So the book that I picked up was Crescent City by Sarah J. Maas, and this one was chosen by Cami from Burrows and Books. I was originally very scared that she chose this for me. This book had been sitting on my shelf for the longest time. And I just hadn't read it because I was so scared because it's so long. It's 800 pages long. But I'm really glad that she did. I just finished it around 20 minutes ago, and I'm gonna share my thoughts. So this book was actually the book that took me to my 60 books a year goal for this year on Goodreads. So I ended up giving this book a 4-star on my Goodreads. Yeah, so I think I enjoyed like half of the book, like the last half. The first half, and mind you, this book is 800 pages long, so that means like I did not enjoy this book that much for the first 400 pages. It's a pretty large book. It's a big commitment. I feel like if I hadn't had Cami telling me that it was going to get good, if I hadn't had like her support, I probably would have DNF'd this. I do feel like because I didn't enjoy the first 400 pages of this novel, it didn't really like capture my attention, so I wasn't too like focused on what was happening and the characters and everything. the first like 400 pages. So I feel like the impact of the novel and the things that happened at the end of the novel weren't as impactful to me because I wasn't as like engaged with like the characters from the beginning and everything. I did get lost. I wasn't like really sure like who some people were. Like it was a bit messy. I do think it's a great fantasy novel. I am giving it a 4-star now because I really liked it. But I did just finish it 20 minutes ago, so the more I think about it, I feel like it might go down to like a 3.5 because just compared to like other 4 stars that I've read, it's not as up there to a 4-star, if that makes any sense. But I mean, I might keep it as a 4-star. I don't know how I'll feel about it. But my feelings do change like over time when it comes to like Goodreads ratings. But at this point in time, it is a 4-star. Is it as good as like Akatar, which is my favorite from Sarah? No. I do think it's better than Throne of Glass because I really don't like Throne of Glass. Throne of Glass for me was like a 2-star. And I actually read like the first 4 books in the Throne of Glass series and I didn't like any of them. They were all like 2 stars for me. But so I do think this is better than Throne of Glass, but not better than Akatar. So yeah, I feel like Sarah J. Maas is my most read author, even though I haven't read the whole Throne of Glass series. But huge thank you to Cami for pushing me to read this. Like I said, I did enjoy the last 400 pages of the novel, which is where like most things went down. I do know that this is going to become a series. So I do think the second book would be much better than the first one because I feel like the first 400 pages, it just took so long because there was so much world building and characters and all of that it just, it lost my attention for a little bit, but towards the end I really did love it. I do know that like a lot of people were like, "Oh my god, it made me cry so much." I didn't at all. Like that's why I was expecting for it to make me cry and it didn't because I wasn't as attached to the characters or like what was happening and everything. So, yeah. 4 stars for now. Do feel like it might go down to a 3.5, 3.7. I don't know yet. But I do definitely feel like the second book in this novel will be much better for me because I'll be more acquainted, is that a word? I don't know. I'd know more about the world, I guess. So that was Crescent City by Sarah J. Maas. And now, like I said earlier before, I wanted to do like a contemporary, a fantasy, contemporary, fantasy, contemporary. So now that means a contemporary. And I believe I'll be picking up Eliza and Her Monsters by Francesca Sapia. And this one was chosen to me by Alex from Pucks and Paperbacks. And you can find him as Pucks and Paperbacks on his Instagram and YouTube as well. And like I said already, everybody will be linked and everything below. But this is a contemporary and I'm excited to read it. A lot of people compare this to Radio Silence, and I actually really liked Radio Silence. Radio Silence was like a 4-star for me. So I hope I like this as much as I did Radio Silence, and I do feel like I need a break from fantasy after Crescent City. Crescent City was very heavy, so I'm excited to read some contemporary now. So hopefully next time that you see me, I'll be finished with this. Hello, hi. So today is the day right after I finished Crescent City, and I am now reading, like I said, Eliza and Her Monsters, and I just wanted to do a quick check-in because I hadn't done that during the past 2 books that I've read. So today's the first day that I started this, and I'm currently on page 209, which I guess I read 200 pages today, which is different because my normal page rate, average of pages read is usually 100. So I've read 200 today. I'm guessing because I just finished Crescent City, and Crescent City was 800 pages long. This seems like it's nothing, but this book is actually 383 pages long, which is also short. But I did want to say that I am enjoying this very much. Obviously, contemporary books are much easier to get through. Um, so I am enjoying the anxiety rep. I feel like this is the most like um relatable character that I've ever read from. I feel like this was me in high school a lot. I love the fan fiction aspect of it. I wrote I wrote fan fiction when I was in high school too, so I think this book is super relatable to me. I do think it's very corny at points. There's been some corny moments that I'm just like, dude, what the fuck? Um, I do think our main character Eliza is a bit annoying. And I think she's starting to realize that, like, I think she's annoying in the way that she treats her family. Like, her parents, all they do is care about her, and all she does is complain. But I think the main character, Eliza, and her love interest just kind of had a conversation about that aspect, that she's just like annoying in that fact. Like, she has nothing to like complain about, but she still does. Um, yeah, I do really like it so far. There was a couple of like Harry Potter references, and I do know that this book was written in 2017, which 2017 I feel like a lot of different books had Harry Potter references, but it kind of like threw me off because I don't really want to read that now anymore. Like Harry Potter stuff. So it was kind of like ugh. Um, it took me out of the story for a bit. There was one more thing that I wanted to mention. Oh, the last thing I wanted to mention was that this book, like, it just had a scene that I was like, this sounds super familiar. And if you've read The Fault in Our Stars, the reason why the two main characters like start talking to each other, well, it's mostly because of their illness in The Fault in Our Stars by John Green, but also they talk a lot about this book that has like a weird ending, and they kind of bond over that. And something very similar happened in this book, that like they kind of talk about this book that has a really weird ending, and he kind of like calls her like, what the fuck is this ending, type of thing, like very similar to what happens in The Fault in Our Stars, which kind of threw me back because I know The Fault in Our Stars was published in 2012, and this was published, I believe, 2017. So in The Fault in Our Stars is very known, so I feel like that I'm not saying the author copied that scene, but it was very, very similar to what happened in The Fault in Our Stars, which I thought was just, it was a random thought, honestly. But like I said, I'm really enjoying this. I'm on page 200, and the next clip will be me all done with this. Hi friends, today is December 12th. I look crazy, but it's currently like 2:30 p.m.-ish. And this morning I finished Eliza and Her Monsters by Francesca Sapia, and I have thoughts. So I'm giving this, on Goodreads it says 3 stars, but in my mind it's like a 3.5 maybe. Like a 3.5 star. Again, I'm sure I mentioned it, but this was Alex's pick from Pucks and Paperbacks. So I gave this 3 star. I did mention what this book is about, and I did have some issues with it. Mainly I found our main character really, really annoying, to be honest. And it wasn't because of her anxiety or her panic disorder or anything like that. Obviously, I completely understand her anxiety and everything. I just think that she complained a lot about everything. I do feel like the other character, her love interest, Wallace, did some questionable things as well, like asking things from her that, they those aren't her responsibility. But I don't want to go into too much detail because I feel like some things would be spoilers. But yeah, it's a 3-star for me. I do understand where people loved this back in, like, I think this came out like 2016. Not sure, but I do understand the hype around it if you read it when it came out. But like now 2020, I feel like I've read better things, but I'm glad I read it because a lot of people like were super hyped about this. So yeah, I don't really have too many thoughts about it. I honestly, the main character was really annoying to me, so that's that. And then I made a poll on Instagram for the last 2 books, The Unhoneymooners, which was picked by Miona, and Where Dreams Ascend, which was picked by Issa from Ray or Shine. And I had a poll up, and currently the one that's winning is Where Dreams Ascend, which I actually really want to read, but I'm gonna give the poll a couple more hours. Not many people have voted because it's only been up for like 15 minutes, honestly. So I'm gonna give it more time, and then the next clip will be me reading whatever book won the poll. Friends, so today is December 20th, and last night I actually finished The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. Last night I went on to my Goodreads and I gave this a 3-star. Now thinking about it, it's more like a 2.5, but I also leave it as 3-star on my Goodreads. But honestly, I think this is the book that has made me realize that books that are like marketed like straight up like romance, and that it's completely revolve like around a romance, I don't really enjoy. I don't think, like, I've read Get a Life, Chloe Brown, didn't really think it was anything that like I really loved. I did like Maybe For You. I feel like that's the only romance novel that I've enjoyed, and I do know that it's really problematic, and I did address that when I read it. I think other romance novels that I've liked are like Love, Simon, but like Love, Simon wasn't marketed as a romance. Like The Honeymooners and like Beach Read I didn't really enjoy either. Get a Life, Chloe Brown, didn't really love. So I think this is the book that has like set in stone that I don't like romance novels. I do like other novels that involve like a romance, but that the center of the book and the plot isn't just the romance. So I think this is the book that has set that in stone. I did try the romance category, and I don't particularly love it. I think maybe in the future, if there's like other romance novels that might have like a really enticing premise, I might give a try. But from now on, I think I'm gonna hold off on reading some romance novels. I did read all of the romance novels that I bought in 2020, so I'm happy about that. But I finished it, didn't really love it. I think it's like a 2.5 star for me. I felt like it was very predictable. Like I felt like every time something happened, I already knew what the next thing was gonna happen. It felt like something I already like seen in a movie. So yeah, I felt like it was a little bit of a waste of my time. And I know that sounds super mean, but like, yeah, I didn't really love it. I'm sorry. I don't know what else to say about this. So the last book in this little video thing is Where Dreams Ascend by Janela Angeles. And this one was the one that Isabel or Ray or Shine picked for me. This is like a fantasy novel, like Moulin Rouge and Phantom of the Opera like intertwined. It's a pretty long book. It's like 450 pages. I was like flipping through it, and I noticed that like chapters 20 through 25 are not in order, and that's because this is an arc that Wednesday Books sent to me. So I did get that in order, so I'm not confused in the future, so I put sticky notes. But I started this last night right after the Honeymooners, and I think I read like 20 pages. I read 17 pages of this last night. I'm excited to get more into it. I am enjoying it. The first 15 pages were fine. I really do hope I love this, so I fly through it. It is December 20th, so this week is Christmas and all of that, so I don't know how much reading I'll get done, but hopefully I get to finish this before 2020 is over, so next clip, hopefully it's me all done with this novel. Hi friends, last clip for the video. So I actually finished Where Dreams Descend by Janela Angeles, and I gave this a 3-star. So this book really reminded me of Spin the Dawn by Elizabeth Lim. Spin the Dawn, if you don't know, it's like a Project Runway meets Mulan book, and I loved that concept. It just wasn't really like executed the way I wanted it to be. And this book is kind of the same. I really loved like the magic show competition aspect of it. I just really wasn't too like attached to any of the characters. I didn't really care for the romance. I did really enjoy like the last 100 pages or so. I feel like the rest was a bit boring. I feel like the same thing kept happening over and over, and it was a little bit predictable. As well, I felt like the main character was kind of like sheltered because she didn't really know about the real world, and then when she gets out in the real world, she's so fearless, and I just feel like there was kind of like a disconnect, because I don't know, like if this is the first time out in the real world, how would you be so fearless if you don't know like what's happening, I guess? I don't know if that makes any sense. But this was a 3-star, and I did want to talk about my favorite book of the video, and I think, which ones did I read again? So I read Where Dreams Descend, I read The Unhoneymooners, I read Crescent City, Eliza and Her Monsters, and then I also read The Vanishing Half. Out of all of those, I would say my favorite one was The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett, which was chosen by Chanel from Chanel Time. So that was my favorite one. I really loved that one. It was a historical fiction. It actually made it to my top favorites of the year 2020, and I'm really glad that I got to read a really, really good book by the end of 2020. Today's actually the 30th of January, the 30th of December, so I'm recording this right as the year's ending. But I did want to say thank you to all of my friends who responded to my DM and gave me some recommendations from my TBR. Super excited for the new year and to be able to read a lot more books. I read 62 so far, read 62 books so far, but I'm currently reading The Duke and I. Not sure if I'll be able to finish that by tomorrow, but so far I think I've read 62 books in the year of 2020, which was a huge improvement from last year. Last year I only read like 25 books, so it was a great reading year, so I'm really excited for next year, and I hope to do another video like this again, and I'll see you guys later. Bye!